You know how the story originally broke? The Packers podcaster named Big B.
Shout out Big B.
Jamal Williams is inside the 30, out in front, a Green Bay touchdown.
Jamal Williams is the GOAT, the GOAT. That's all you need to know.
Let's keep it under 25 minutes, all right?
We might be too young to have a spotted cow, but we are both diehard Packers fans. Welcome back into the Underage Packers podcast. This is episode 151. The Green Bay Packers are now back to 500 on the season for the first time since week 2. Playoff hopes are looking swell. Coming off a massive win over the Kansas City Chiefs, the Packers have learned how to love again. Very exciting time to be Green Bay Packers fans. I'm Joey, and joining me as always to preview this week's matchup for Green Bay against the Giants, it's Big B. How we feeling ahead of this Monday night matchup?
You know, the Packers are winning the Super Bowl. Jordan Love is winning MVP.
Yeah.
Matt LaFleur is winning Coach of the Year. Like, life is just beautiful at the moment. Like, how can you not be romantic about football?
What's funny is when you list off all of those possibilities, the thing that seems most likely to me is the Packers winning the Super Bowl, which is crazy to think. And it's still, I don't think it's all that likely. But also, I mean, they have just beat in back-to-back weeks two of the teams that were thought of as the Super Bowl favorites heading into the season. So that's obviously not nothing, and they did it very convincingly, one of them on the road. So it's been really fun to watch. And also, like we said last week, like if the Packers continue to play at the level they are, they're not only going to be a team that finds their way into the playoffs, they're going to be a playoff team, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And they would be able to put up a good matchup against quite a few of the teams in the playoffs. But I'm not going to let myself get too far ahead. I was going to say, well, I hope we don't face the Niners, but let's just beat the Giants, and then we'll move on to the next one after that. And then once January hits, and the Packers destroy the Bears in week 18, then we can really delve into some exciting playoff stuff. But the Packers are playing really well, which is something we can get excited about. Packers have completely turned their season around. And it's funny that we're talking about playoff hopes and everything, because just like 6 weeks ago, we were talking, are the Packers going to win another football game in 2023? We were circling the Panthers game on our calendar like, okay, that game will probably decide whether or not the Packers or the Bears have the first overall pick in the draft, because the Bears have the Panthers pick. That was serious conversations we were having. And now this team has completely turned it around. And, you know, my friend the other day asked me, he's not a Packers fan, and he asked me, like, what's been the deal? Like, why were they so bad early on in the season, and why are they so good? And it's just really a multitude of things on both sides of the ball. I mean, like, just put it simply, everybody's playing good and playing up to their talent now. And, you know, especially offensively, this Brian Gutekunst's master plan for this team to grow together is really, really working. And as many people have observed, they're really ahead of schedule for their development, at least in these past few weeks. Just a lot of playmakers for Jordan Love to utilize. And then Jordan also is finally making the throws that we knew he was capable of. It's really amazing how he has completely turned around his deep ball accuracy. We were talking earlier in the season where he was not able to connect with Luke Musgrave, Christian Watson, basically on any deep shot. And we're like, okay, he seems to be okay at a lot of things. But if you can't connect consistently on balls over 30 yards, then you can't be an NFL quarterback. That's not going to cut it. But I mean, that has been a big difference, and really opening up this offense. Just that deep ball accuracy and being able to connect with receivers on that, because that just opens up this whole entire offense. Because earlier on in the season, Matt had to close, or he didn't have to, but he chose to really narrow down the playbook, and it became really a bunch of short stuff, you know, under 10 yards of air yardage for Jordan Love on all of those throws, designed short passes. And part of that was the offensive line protection, which has also really improved. But now the fact that Jordan Love is not only to be more accurate on some of those balls, but also that Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Dante Wicks, Jaden Reed are coming down with those, that has completely made this offense so much more fun to watch and allowed Matt LaFleur to really be in his bag. Against the Chiefs, Matt LaFleur was absolutely cooking the motion in that game, especially in the first quarter. I mean, the Chiefs defense just looked lost. A lot of exciting stuff going on, and I'm just really happy where the Packers are at this season, at this point at least, and hopefully they can keep it up, because if they don't, it will be, if they end up finishing with 6, 7, 8 wins on the season, will be an interesting season to look back on, especially just seeing how they perform in these last few weeks, regardless of the outcome. You really want to see them just continue to build on this momentum. Otherwise, we're going to be heading into next season like, okay, are we going to be seeing weeks 2 through 8 Green Bay Packers, or are we going to be seeing weeks 9 through 13 of the Green Bay Packers down the future? And it would make for some difficult decisions this offseason. So really got to hope this team continues to build on what they have put out there the past few weeks, and I'm confident that they will, and I'm really looking forward to it. Big B, any State of the Union address on the Packers for you? I mean,
Well,
you
I
are
mean, you
owner,
pretty
so
yes. I mean, you pretty much hit everything that I was going to hit, but I will just say, like you mentioned, Matt LaFleur has been in his bag, and it has been so fun to watch. I remember turning to Tyler during the game and saying, "Oh my God, this offense is just so much fun. The dink and dunk stuff is just incredible to watch at some points, and it feels like everybody's like touching the ball at least once per game." And Matt LaFleur has seemed more comfortable with the offense and putting his players in the best position to exceed. And I feel like that's also helps that now everybody is starting to develop and go ahead of schedule, like you also mentioned. So these
yep.
next final weeks are going to be very fun. Playoffs, if we make it, should be really fun. Hopefully, Matt LaFleur has some more stuff in his bag that he can pull out during the playoffs and down the stretch here.
Yeah, I mean, what you mentioned about just this Packers offense being fun to watch, I remember about midway through the season, John Runyon Jr., he was asked about the potential of the Packers offense, and he said something like, we could be similar to the Dolphins offense, and everybody laughed at him. And I still think, they are far way off, just because they don't have Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, Devin, is it Ashane or Ashane? Something like that.
Sure.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They have a lot of fast playmakers, but and Mike McDaniel still does a lot of interesting motion stuff, which is so awesome to watch. Actually, I was told I looked like Mike McDaniel yesterday, which I'm not sure how to take. But that's besides the point. But yeah, I mean, this Packers offense is suddenly, like in the past few weeks, has just been one of the most successful in the NFL. So that's just been awesome. On to this Giants game. I think a good place to start out would be with the injuries that Green Bay is facing. Obviously, this game is on Monday night, so a little bit of a different practice schedule this week. But some of the main things here, like Jair Alexander, Devondre Campbell, A.J. Dillon, Rashawn Gary, Elton Jenkins, Aaron Jones, Jonathan Owens, Jaden Reed, and Devontae Wyatt were all limited participants in practice. Josiah Aguirre, who has been out for the past few weeks, was a full participant though in practice. And then, like I mentioned, Aaron Jones still limited. And then Christian Watson, Darnell Savage, and Quay Walker all not practicing on Thursday. And we'll obviously see though that we are recording this on Friday. So shortly after we record this, I'm sure the Friday injury report will come out. But kind of more of the same as far as injury goes for the Green Bay Packers. And yeah, we'll have to see how they adjust to those. They've been doing rather well replacing those guys through these past few games. Aaron Jones is obviously the big one. Really hope we can get him back sometime soon because, I mean, did he even play in that Chargers game?
Yeah, that's the game he got hurt.
Oh, yes. But he still was pretty limited in that game. He only had 4 carries for 14 yards. So, yeah, Jones being in this new form of the Packers 2023 offense, then things would really start to get exciting. And I think Packers offense would be putting some teams on watch for sure. Packers did to replace Aaron Jones, or at least kind of aid that gap. They have signed Kenyon Drake this past week. He is also like Jay Ajayi of the club of Dolphins running backs who had one really good year with the Dolphins and then completely disappeared. But a nice veteran signing that Matt LaFleur today said that he's been in a few systems like LaFleur's and is familiar with that. And obviously a veteran, he's been in the league since 2016. So he should be able to contribute pretty quickly. He has been on a few different practice squads this year, been with the Colts, Ravens, and Browns, and now the Packers practice squad. So we'll see if he gets any playing time. But I really like this signing. Big B, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I really like Kenyon Drake. I've liked him for a few years now, just as a player, and I think he has a lot more juice left in the tank than James Robinson, who we
Yep.
cut, released, and then signed, and then released again, and then that stuff. So hopefully Kenyon Drake will like actually stay here for a few weeks anyway. But I really do like the signing.
Yes, definitely. Looking at his stats here for Drake, looks like he was actually active in 2 games for Baltimore. Did not get any carries, had 2 receptions for Baltimore. Most recently, has had success with Las Vegas, the Raiders in 2021. Spent some time in Arizona before that. His big seasons with Miami, though, from 2016 to 19 here. Let's see, did he never had 1,000-yard year, but had 644 yards rushing in 2017. And then he's always been a threat in the receiving game as well. Had 477 receiving yards for Miami in 2018. So dynamic playmaker that, like Matt mentioned, I think will be able to contribute pretty quickly in Green Bay. I did also want to hit on the Watson injury that kind of glossed over. Obviously, that was really unfortunate to see him, after having an amazing game, get hurt in the way that he did, just going down by trying to stay in bounce. Does look like that's not going to be as serious as some non-contact leg injuries usually are. But obviously, hope we can get Watson back sooner rather than later with how well he's been playing lately. All right. Let's talk about the New York Giants now. An interesting football team. They're currently 4-8, third in the NFC East. Right behind the Cowboys and Eagles. Obviously, can't wait to watch that game this Sunday. But I am a fan of the storylines on this Giants team. They are an interesting team to follow. This past week, I went and watched their game against the Washington Commanders from a few weeks ago. And it's just amazing because, like, there is no world in which this team should be winning games. But, like, there is absolutely none. And, they haven't. But they have won their last 2, given the last one was against New England. They had their bye week last week. And then 2 weeks ago, they beat New England 10-7. But then they beat Washington 31-19 a few weeks ago. Like, there is no world in which the Giants offense should be scoring 31 points. But Tommy DeVito has somehow done that. Of course. My like the main thing about Tommy, a 6th-round draft pick, and like it's just unbelievable. He has a little bit of a gunslinger to him, a little bit of a gamer to him. You could almost say like Brett Favre, but like he doesn't make as many poor decisions as Favre. And I would say actually like DeVito plays a rather clean game, and I would be like actually interested to see how he'd play if he had a solid offensive line, if anything. But the Giants' offensive line is just horrendous. It was a painful viewing experience. It looked like they had, offensive line of like Byron Bell. Big B, you got to help me think of like some of the other like terrible offensive linemen in Packers history, like Byron Bell,
Alex
Jason
Knight,
Spriggs, Alex Light. Um, I mean,
Royce Newman,
uh,
like
oh yeah, that's sad that he's already on that list. Just need
Don
a fifth one
Barkley.
there.
Oh man, I don't like that guy at all.
Oh,
He is terrible. He's terrible. He's just terrible.
man, I feel like Don Barclay has caught the most amount of strays out of any player on the show. But yeah, their offensive line, especially on the interior, like I think their tackles are all right. And Andrew Thomas, and I'm blanking on their other one, but especially on the interior, like it is an absolute mess. I know you tweeted out the stat, Big B, that under Tommy DeVito has taken like 26 stats or sacks here in 4 weeks as the starter. Is
Yeah,
that
he's
correct?
been
Something like
getting
that?
run over. It's 20 something. I know. And that's
Yeah.
insane. Like 6 per
Which,
game. So,
yeah, that is insane.
mhm.
I will say there probably wouldn't be, or I'll say like Tommy DeVito is the greatest like example of sacks being a quarterback stat sometimes. This man does hold on to the ball for entirely too long. But then, like sometimes that will pay off for him and he'll be able to make some unbelievable throws. He has quite the arm. And yeah, like I said, if he just had a solid offensive line that allowed him to operate in the pocket, like I think he would be a really solid quarterback. And like I said, he is not making that many mistakes. He's playing some really clean games. Um, besides getting sacked a lot. Like against Washington, I think he had 5 sacks in just the first quarter. um, so yeah, and I think he just plays overall with this kind of naiveness. And that makes him a really interesting player because he just has all the confidence in the world in himself. And a lot of the times that pays off for him because he has the talent to do that. So that's Tommy DeVito. Of course, they have Saquon Barkley, who is still really solid. Um, and then defensively, they also, under Wink Martindale now, they have a solid group. The big thing there, though, is DeMarcus Lawrence. He is the main game wrecker on that Giants defense, and he has been dealing with, or did I say DeMarcus Lawrence?
Dexter. Dexter.
Dexter.
I
Yes,
think
Dexter
you
is
did
correct,
say
not
Marcus.
DeMarcus.
Yeah.
So Dexter Lawrence has been dealing with hamstring injury. He missed the game against the Patriots. He missed Wednesday's practice. Looks like he'll be practicing today on Friday. But yeah, he is just a game wrecker at defensive tackle. Would be a little bit worried with Josh Myers going up against him. Another main guy to watch on that. What were you gonna say, Big B?
I mean, I was gonna say Josh Myers played a pretty good game versus Chris Jones and the Chiefs' offensive line. I mean, I thought he did.
He
I
definitely
thought
did.
probably one of his better games of his career, probably.
That is a good point. Chris Jones was pretty quiet on Sunday night. That is
Mhm.
a solid point. Maybe I shouldn't be dishing as much hate out to Josh Myers there, but
Yeah, come on, man. He's playing the best football of his career now. Jeez.
I mean,
Dare
now
you.
that's actually a true statement. Does Josh Myers have blackmail on you too, though?
Probably, yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Okay. Um, he probably has, how you have that picture of Aaron Rodgers eating a burrito. Josh Myers probably has a picture of you like that, eating your chicken tenders that you specifically requested that the Packers kitchen staff made.
Probably. That's probably true.
But yeah, Dexter Lawrence with that hamstring injury, main guy to watch there. Kayvon Thibodeau, I I find him really obnoxious, but he is indeed a very good player. So those are two main guys to watch. Other than that, though, Giants defense overall is a pretty solid group. All right, now time for our superlatives for this game, our key to victory, our biggest concern, and then our player that is going off. For my key to victory, I am just going with sound safety play. I mentioned Darnell Savage injury status earlier, but whoever is going out there, whether that's Rudy Ford and Jonathan Owens, like it has been these past few weeks, whoever it is, like, just please keep everything in front of you. Like I mentioned, Tommy DeVito can sometimes unleash that cannon. So that is how you lose to an offense that is otherwise not very good. If you allow those big plays, then that will kill you. Big B, what is your key to victory here?
Yeah, my key to victory is just limit the turnovers. Zach Cruz tweeted earlier this morning that the Giants have scored 34 points of their 41 points off turnovers during their 2-game winning streak. So I feel like it's pretty simple to say, if you don't turn the football over, yeah, you should be winning very comfortably in this matchup.
Yes, the Giants actually had 5 turnovers, I want to say, in this game against Washington, or 6 turnovers. 6 turnovers in the game against Washington. Scored a lot of off those, and even on the ones that they didn't, it's like, hey, like I said, that's the formula to winning if your offense is not great. Have some big plays and get some turnovers. I believe they are in the top 5 in the league for turnover differential, which is 11. So, like I said, Tommy DeVito isn't going to give you many, but yeah, just limit turnovers on the Packers and would be ideal. Less than 6 seems like a solid goal. On to our biggest concern for this game. Mine is just going to be the Packers starting off slow. We've seen them play down to their competition a few times this season. And, like, this is a team that the Packers can pretty easily put away early on. And they should do that. They should absolutely be aggressive out of the gates here. And hopefully Joe Barry, like, as much praise that I'm keeping on Tommy DeVito, the plan should be to make Tommy DeVito beat you. Okay, get out to a good lead early on, and don't let the Giants hang in there, because I have no doubt that Tommy DeVito, if needed, can make some clutch plays. Big B, what are your shivering in your timbers about this week?
I am terrified that this is going to be a trap game. I will say I definitely see this being a game that the Packers will drop.
Whoa, you're predicting?
No, I'm not predicting, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers lost this game.
Yeah.
Yes, mostly because, like, the past 2 weeks they've been underdogs. It's been like, what, 7-point underdogs, I think, around there the last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're finally a 6-point favorite against the Giants. Now we're expected to win this game. How will the players respond? How will the coaching staff respond? Will we keep the foot on the gas? And like you mentioned, we always play down to our opponents or play up to our opponents. And I could definitely see this being a game where we play down to our opponents. We've felt good. Yeah, we got 2 big wins. Now the Giants suck. We should be fine and stuff like that. So the trap game is definitely on my concerning list this week.
Yeah, you mentioned kind of the success getting to the player's head, and I'm very happy with how Matt LaFleur seems to be handling this situation. It is obviously very exciting what the team is doing, and for us fans, we get to celebrate because we're not the ones in that locker room. But Matt LaFleur, pretty much right after this Chiefs win, was like, we are not looking ahead to the playoffs at all. Playoffs have not crossed my mind once, and I'm going to make sure that the players keep that mindset and do not get too far ahead of themselves. Don't let the success go to their heads. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that mindset, because it can quickly become a disaster. I will say, though, the Packers, I've been playing around with the ESPN playoff machine instead of doing homework, and the Packers can basically, the first thing I tested out was Keyshawn Nixon after the game. He said, I believe that we can get the first seed. The sky's the limit for us. And I was like, I don't know about all that, Keyshawn. It is in the realm of possibility. A lot of things would have to
It is
happen.
possible. It is possible. I mean, it might happen. You never know.
Never say never. I also checked what would have to happen for the Packers to win the NFC North. Now, what's interesting is the fact that, like, literally, if they just win that game against Detroit earlier on in the season at Lambeau, like, that would be pretty massive, because that would be absolutely crazily massive, because the Packers right now would be 7-5, the Lions would be 8 and whatever, and the Packers would have that advantage over them. And so, that's going to kill me now, because the Lions have had such a much better season than the Packers. But if the Packers just win that Thursday night game early in the season, then, like, they are very much competing for the NFC North right now. But oh well, the Lions can have it, I guess. But I did check that out. The Lions would have to lose to, I believe it's 2 conference games to close out the season, and then the Packers would obviously have to win out. It might actually be, so Lions have, the Lions have to lose 2 conference ones. They have the Vikings twice. I believe they have the Bears on their schedule still, so not all that likely. Back to my main point, though, of just what any scenario for the Packers to get into the playoffs, so they can basically afford to drop 1 or 2 of these last 5 games that should be easy ones. But they can't afford to drop them. They obviously wouldn't control their own destiny at that point. However, the other few teams in the running for the 6 and 7 spot in the NFC are all seeming, while the Packers seem to be getting hot at the right time, these teams, the Rams are actually getting hot at the right time as well. But the Seahawks and the Vikings, which are basically, the only other 2 teams in the mix, you can consider, the Saints, Falcons, and Buccaneers all either competing for the NFC South or wild card spot. But I one of them is going to win the South, and the other 2 aren't in with like 5 wins on the season, I bet. But the Vikings and the Seahawks just seem to be falling off. So I feel like the Packers can afford to drop one of these last few and still be okay. They do have the Vikings still on their schedule, so that helps out a lot too, to be able to control their own destiny. But let's just keep it easy for Green Bay and just have the Packers win out, and then we don't have to worry about any of that nonsense. Yeah, exciting time to be a Packers fan, like I said at the top. Any closing thoughts here, or have we haven't even gone over our player that's going to go off? I almost forgot about that.
No. Oh my
I'm
Lord.
so scattered brain today. Finally, our player that is going to go off this week on Monday night. For me, it is Carl Brooks, who has been going off for a lot of weeks now. But I think this is going to be a true in prime time coming out party for the draft pick. And just because of what I mentioned of this Giants offensive line not being very good. And then also I think Tommy DeVito is going to be his own worst enemy. Stay in the pocket for too long. And Carl Brooks is very athletic for his size. And I think he's going to chase him down a few times. Mark Carl Brooks down for at least 3 sacks on Monday night. Wow. Big B, what do you got?
I got my boy AJ Dillon. I've been very tough on AJ Dillon earlier in the season, and I just want to take this moment to apologize to AJ Dillon, because that man has been earning his second contract with the Green Bay Packers. He has been incredible the last few weeks, and I just love AJ Dillon so much. I truly am sorry to AJ Dillon. I know he watches the show. I am sorry, AJ Dillon, for all the slander I have given towards you earlier in the season. But going back to this, AJ Dillon, I think he's going to break out this week. This seems like a very good matchup for him to break out in. I know Aaron Jones might be coming back this week, but AJ Dillon, like I've said, has been getting hot. The running game has been kind of still stalling, but last week a lot of good holes have been opening up for the running game, and the Patrick Taylor run. AJ Dillon got a nice few runs. So once this running game starts going, the passing game has been going. Everything else has been going except the running game. Once that gets going, should only open up the running game more. And I'm excited for when either Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon finally has this massive game, because then defenses will start playing two high safeties, and that's good because
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. I was talking good things about the Giants defense earlier. Their running defense is not all that great. Mainly just because they're not a great tackling team. But they allowed 174 rushing yards against Commanders a few weeks ago. And yeah, like I said, they're just bad at tackling. There was when I was watching that Commanders game, they showed a graphic at one point, like near the start of the third quarter, and the Giants had 0 rushing yards, and the Commanders had like over 100, and it was sad. Poor Saquon Barkley, man, but. Yeah, AJ Dillon could definitely have a big game. Brian Robinson had a big game against him a few weeks ago, 17 carries for 73 yards, average of 4.3 yards per carry. So that would definitely bode well. Robinson is a similar running back to Dillon. So I'm looking forward to that. And Dillon, like you said, has just been so much better these past few weeks. I would say it's because it's the cold and everything, and he's a big bruising back, but that wasn't necessarily even the case why he was doing so well against Kansas City. I mean, he had a few plays like that where he was just kind of a bulldozer, but also he's just been so much more smooth with his cuts. I mean, man, that reception he has where he's out on the flat and he full on jukes out a defender. My God, man, that's cruel.
Oh, yeah. Hey, AJ Dillon's been
And
putting on the moves. He had that hurdle. What was it?
yeah.
Versus the Lions. Now this week he's juking
Man,
out of his shoes and then running over a dude. Like he's arrived. He's arrived. He's
definitely
got his own stuff in his own bag that he's been pulling out, and that's been exciting to see.
Ever since he went live on Twitch playing that like harvest game, he's been on one harvesting those yards for sure. And like you said, I mean, just playing really well these past few weeks, possibly getting a contract extension. I mean, I almost think they almost have to. Maybe not have to, but I just think it's a smart move, no matter how much we all talked bad about him early on in the season because he was playing bad. Okay, it's straightforward as that. But really, I just like keep that veteran in there. Aaron Jones' future with team is kind of unknown. And really the way the Packers like to do running backs is, they're not going to draft one on day 1 or 2, although AJ Dillon is an exception to that. But to me, what I see them doing is probably signing or drafting a guy early day 3, and they would really prefer to have him develop a year behind AJ and Jones. And then after that, Jones and Dillon, we'll see what the future is for them. But Dillon, I say second contract, but I don't expect it to be more than 2 years. That'd be surprising to me.
Yeah, and I'm sure Dillon will take like a hometown discount since his entire family is from the Green Bay area and Door County, and he just loves Green Bay, Wisconsin. So I'm sure he'll take a nice little hometown discount to stay a Packer.
Yeah, they're not from there, but yeah, they found solid footing there. Him and his wife, and now their kid. And yeah, I mean, just too like the intern or the I almost said internship, but the sponsorships he has in the Green Bay area have to be insane, even for like he's not going to get that anywhere else. Just because of the character he's established in Green Bay. So I agree with you. I think he would possibly give him a good discount there.
Yeah, so don't Jamal Williams this, Brian, all right? You've already done this once. Don't do this again, all right, pal? Or else I'll be seeing you outside Lambeau, okay, pal?
Oh, God,
right.
okay. I also don't think the free agency market for AJ Dillon is going to be all that competitive, to be honest with you.
That is also very true.
Yeah. All right, then. Any closing thoughts, Big B?
Like how I open this, Packers are winning the Super Bowl. Jordan Love is winning MVP. The Pack is back. let's go win ourselves a football game, folks.
Absolutely. We appreciate you guys tuning into this episode. We'll be back next week. Before that next episode is published, though, it'll be Big B's birthday on next Wednesday, December 12th. So make sure you wish him a happy birthday, and hopefully the Packers bring us the win on this Monday night against the Giants. So we thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to follow us on all the socials. We'll talk to you later. Go Pack Go.